It's another Friday. It's Diversity Community Newscast. I'm your host, Harriet Tinka, sponsored by Ray Z Plumbing and Heating. Here are the headlines for this week. The Year of the Oaks. Henry Fung brings Albertans the message for Chinese Lunar New Year. Not being racist is not good enough. We must be anti-racist. Mayor Iveson hits home a Black History Month message. Edmonton Police Service, EPS, invites people from diverse communities to serve on its new Chief Community Council. Diversity TV brings to you, after this newscast, a Valentine's Day special, a panel on why people go home to marry while there's countless angels right here in their backyards. Now the news in detail. The Edmonton Police Service, EPS, invites people from diverse communities to serve on its new Chief Community Council as it redesigns its community engagement strategy to be more inclusive. As a recommendation from the EPS commitment to action initiative and other engagement effort, the EPS is looking for community members with experience in marginalization, discrimination, and interested in being part of change to guide the EPS in addressing issues within vulnerable communities. The deadline is February 28, 2021. For more information, please go to www.edmontonpolice.ca/ccc. It's February. It's another Black History Month. Who's doing what in Edmonton and Calgary? Here's what's up. Saturday, February 27, 2021, 12 noon, by Africans and African Descendants Friendship Club of St. Albert online. Saturday, February 6 to 27, AJFA's Black History Month events on www.ajfas.ca. Fort Saskatchewan Multicultural Association will be hosting Black History educational workshops at schools in Fort Saskatchewan, Sherwood Park, and Ardrossan, February 10th to February 26th, and this will be a private event. Also, they're hosting virtual events highlighting the meaning of Black History Month, what it means to Africans, Caribbean Canadians who have risen above the challenges and have accomplished, highlighting their valuable contributions to the many fields such as politics, education, sports, arts, and culture. This will be shown throughout the month of February on their Facebook page. On February 27, AfroQuiz will welcome 40 contestants from 4 age categories covering elementary through high school, themed Health and the Black Community 2021. It will take an online format. Youth participants and spectators of all ages can register at the CASH website. Calgary, Raising Hope in a Pandemic, February 15 and 27, 1 p.m. online. Ethnic Festival of Arts and Culture, 26 to 27, February, 6 to 8 p.m., daily online. Black History Month, Desire to Make a Difference, Community Responsibility and Integrity, February 27, from 6 to 8 p.m. Africa Day Arts and Cultural Society, in partnership with Pan-African Music Society of Nigeria, for an online music concert, March 13, 2021 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Black History Month offers. SAS Marketing Agency is offering help to Black community as part of Black History Month 2021. If you are a Black-owned business in the Edmonton and area in need of graphic design work to promote your business during these difficult times, you can get a free offer from SAS. To request a free one-time design promotional marketing material before the end of February, please go to their website. Before we go to more Black History Month stories, we will take a quick commercial break. Not being racist is not good enough. We must be anti-racist. Mayor Iveson hits home a message of hope and commitment, saying it's not good enough to not be racist, but we must be actively anti-racist. The mayor made the remarks at the official launch of Black History Month in the Francophone community in Edmonton on February 5th, 2021, organized by Archfest, La Frampe, and Conseil Scolaire Centre Nord in Edmonton. If there's no seat for you at the table, bring your own seat. Stop the self-limiting belief. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you start your business. A selection from an inexhaustible list of lessons learned at the well-attended BCW in Action Black History Month event on February 13, 2021, celebrating Black businesses and families. It's Chinese Lunar New Year. It's the year of the ox. Alberta joins the celebration of Chinese Lunar New Year. Friday, February 12, 2021 marks the beginning of the Chinese Lunar New Year celebration. The year of the ox. This year hasn't happened for 60 years. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most Lunar New Year celebrations in Alberta are virtual. Friday, February 12, 2021, 7:30 to 8:30, the Government of Alberta hosted an online event. Wednesday, February 17, 2021, at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. virtual Lunar New Year celebration, Alberta NDP caucus hosted another virtual online event. Henry Fung, a leader from the vibrant Chinese community in Edmonton, is here to shed some light on the celebrations this year.
Chinese New Year is just like Christmas, right? Everyone is celebrating it. And then not only the Chinese and also the the Korean and the Vietnamese, they also share the same spirit and the celebration as well. Yeah. And then, because of the pandemic virus, right, nowadays, and then, most of the, traditional celebrations within the community, and we cannot carry on, okay? But, instead, they are doing a kind of a safe and virtual format, like online celebration. To share the Chinese New Year with everyone, right? Yeah. And then I am representing the Edmonton Chinatown Multicultural Center. And then we have already produced a online video film, and then people can look at it. And then other than that, within the Chinese community, people still celebrate each other, through the Zoom meetings, like what we are doing now. And also, the family members, they will come to your house and then, open the garage door and then talk, right? Or they, meet on the street, walking together and then, share a moment, right, of togetherness, something like that, yeah.
One of the things about the Chinese New Year, you receive this red envelope. Can you explain to our listeners what this red envelope symbolizes?
Red envelope means that, inside there, usually there's money inside, right? Mm-hmm. So that it's kind of it's kind of belief, give you something as a gift, something like that. Just like Christmas time, right? Give you a gift. Mm-hmm. Instead, they will give you a red envelope, and then inside is the lucky money. So when you receive the money, you will be lucky, and then you will be prosperous, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, wonderful.
When I was a kid, I like a Chinese New Year because I can collect money.
Did you receive some money? You get a red envelope?
Right. Yeah.
So, Henry, this year is the year of the ox. What does that mean, the year of the ox?
Actually, the ox symbolize health and honesty. The honesty and hardworking, because the cow is hardworking, right? And also it has a positive characteristic as well. For the people, and you also understand, the ox is a valuable agricultural animal within the Chinese Chinese community, right? Yeah, because they need the animal to do the plowing of the field, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can imagine,
The Chinese New Year's is usually one day, but when do the celebration really officially end? Because I know with Christmas, it starts ahead and then it keeps going. Eventually we have to say, okay, it's done. When is the official? Do you do it for 1 week, 2 weeks? How long does it keep going for?
The big day is the first day of the Lunar New Year, right? Starting. And then it will carry on until the 15th day of the year, the 15th day. On that day, there will be what they call the Lantern Festival, and then everyone enjoy it, and then after that, and the celebration ends. Yeah.
Wow. Is there anything else you wanted to share about the Chinese New Year? I think you covered quite a bit. Is there something else that you wanted to share as well?
We have, talk about something about that video we have produced, okay? Yeah, because of the public health regulations, so usually we have our celebration hosted at the West Edmonton Mall Ice Arena.
Yes.
We have been holding that for about 10 years, at the West Edmonton Mall every year. But this year we cannot do it, so we do something else, so we come up with an online celebration, try to carry on the tradition and also share the fun and also, everything with the community and also with everyone. Yeah.
Well, let the celebrations continue. This is the year of the ox, so I'm so glad you came and shared some of the traditional things that you continue to do. Happy New Year to you and your family and the community.
Yes, thank you very much, and also happy Chinese New, happy Lunar New Year to everyone, and 恭喜發財.
Thank you. I understood that. Fashion of the Week. This week, Fashion of the Week profiles the works of Aleth Kabore, owner of KYN Apparel. Weeks ago, masks were made mandatory in indoor spaces across Alberta. We are happy to be joined by local Edmonton designer Aleth Kabore, owner of KYN Apparel, to run us through some of the different mask design that they have.
So like you said, my name is Aleth and I'm from KYN Apparel. And since the beginning of the pandemic, we have been making cloth face masks so that we can kind of cater to what people needed to have. If you want something that is sustainable, so you can wash and reuse and save the planet in the same time you're saving yourself, then we have some options for you. So we have the main design, and the first design was our plain, plain, it's kind of like 100% cotton, 3 layers so that people can breathe easily and still be kind of safe. So this is one of those kind of designs. When you look inside, you see that we have the main layer that we see outside, we have a second layer, and then we have a third layer that actually plays at the same time as a pocket if you want to add a filter. And our masks do come with 3 filters so that you can kind of try them out and see if this is something that you would like. And if you do, you are welcome to buy more filters from us or elsewhere. There are a lot of stores that are selling them. So we have these first designs with elastic, goes around your ears. And then we have the second design that plays more like this. Still the same thing with 3 layers. And this one has straps that goes here and here so that you can tie them up. And so if you're using your mask for a longer period of time at work, this would be good, so it saves your ears. And lastly, but not least, we have this design. This is the inside and this is the outside, where it's made out of a cloth that is already treated with antibacterial. So you don't have to wash this one as you would be washing the cloth face mask. And it has a waterproof and antibacterial property, and it kind of like one piece around the ears too. So right now on our store, we have different kind of options made with the African vibrant prints. So colors, if you're not into the yellow, you get the kind of like all around colors, blue and green. And we have this one that is more green and yellow. And then we have this one that is kind of one of the favorites right now. Works really well. And more popping colors, we have this style, which is red and bold with designs that are more kind of like ethnic African style. And then we have this floral red one too. So altogether, we have quite a few variety online. Do know that we kind of change often because we're trying to be sustainable and using material in a sustainable way so that we don't waste the cloth. So we do have other designs, usually bigger pieces, and when we have left out, we use them to make the masks. So if you like something and you don't get it and you come back, it's run out, it's unfortunately what happens often. So if you see a design you like, please go for it. And the masks are made with nose wires for the ones that have the elastic ones. Really good for people that wears their glasses for fogging up and also keeping you safe.
Diversity profile of the week. She's a mother, a nurse. She likes traveling, passionate about helping newborn babies in neonatal intensive care unit, and has an eye for the arts. Her family and friends call her Bemi. She loves to dance and is equally ambitious. Please meet the exciting Bemisola Bello, a registered nurse based in Calgary. She was a nurse in Nigeria since 1996, before coming to Canada in 2010. In Canada, she took and passed the nursing exams and has been working as a nurse ever since. Bemi is not done. She is currently taking her lactation consultant course and dreams of taking a nursing research study in the future. When Bemi is not helping kids in the hospital, she's working with moms across the world through the WhatsApp group she created, Super Moms, with over 150 African moms with kids with autism. She also spends some of her fun time doing interior decorating. Let me bring on the exciting Bemi so you can hear from her in her own words.
My name is Bemi Sola Bello. People call me Bemi. I'm a registered nurse and I work at NICU and ICU at the Children's Hospital in Calgary here. I studied in Nigeria. I graduated as a registered nurse in 1996, and then I proceeded on to my midwifery. So I became a midwife in 1998. And then after that, I started working in a teaching hospital, which we call University College Hospital in Ibadan, Nigeria. I worked there for over 10 years before moving to Canada.
A Diversity TV Black History Month special. Politics can be a force for good. Politics can make a difference in people's lives. Friends advise me to run for politics to give back in a bigger way and fight for services that I benefited from. You are as Canadian as anyone else. Work hard, fight hard. Volunteer to learn new skills and expand your network. This is your country. Learn your history. From the bottom of his new country as a Somali refugee to the summit, a Canadian minister opens up. A Diversity TV Black History Month special with Hamed Hussein, Canadian Minister for Families, Children, and Social Development.
You are Canadians. You are as Canadian as everyone else. This is your country. This is your society. This is your community. Work hard, fight hard, and volunteer. Give back to the community. Because through volunteerism, you not only help the community, you help yourself because you learn new skills and you expand your network. A lot of young people, they need to expand their network so that they're able to experience new experiences, obtain new skills, find a job, get a mentor, seek out those people in the community that you admire, and look and ask them to mentor you. Most of them will say yes, because it's very flattering for someone to come and ask you to mentor them. And give back. Give back as much as you can. If you are in high school, tutor kids who are younger than you. If you're in university, tutor the kids who are in high school. If you're in graduate school, tutor the kids who are in undergrad. Give back, because we all need to do our part. The second thing I would say to young Black Canadians is learn your history. Black Canadians have been in Canada longer than even modern Canada has existed. Learn about that amazing history and the immense contributions that Black Canadians have made and continue to make to Canadian society. It's really important to learn about history, because history is very inspiring and very informative.
Coronavirus Project Cool Times. Alberta Health has reported scams where victims are asked to provide personal information, send money, or buy gift cards to secure a COVID-19 vaccine early. If you've received such a call, contact Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre or your local police. In Diversity TV international news, former Nigerian finance minister and World Bank executive Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala becomes the first woman and person of African descent to be elected as the Director General for the World Trade Organization, WTO. The West African country of Guinea closes its border as Ebola spreads in the country amidst the presence of COVID-19. Dish of the week. Now that the restaurants are open again, Selassie's Grill prepares for us grill lines encrusted tender steak. Selassie's Grill serves Western, Chinese, and African food. Opened just months ago opposite Stadium on 8604 112th Avenue in Edmonton, with a huge parking space, a bar, a large dining space, a private meeting room, and most importantly, delicious Western, African, and Chinese dishes. Are you an internationally educated professional? The Global Talent Conference in Edmonton is looking to connect and inspire. This year, the Edmonton Region Immigrant Employment Council, ERIC, will co-host the first Alberta Global Talent Conference with their counterpart in Calgary, the Calgary Region Immigrant Employment Council, KIAC. The event will be virtual. This year's theme is Redefining, Mentoring, and Networking, to take place on Thursday, February 25th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. To register, please go to their website. Businesses within Edmonton's business improvement areas, BIAs, may be eligible for a rebate of up to 3 months of the 2020 BIA tax if they were closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in the form of a credit to their business tax account. The rebate is part of the Edmonton Economic Recovery Grant, as the city makes an effort to help businesses hurt by the pandemic. To be eligible, a business needed to have been closed for a minimum of 2 weeks in the 2020 because of the pandemic and earned zero revenue while closed. The rebate is only applicable to the BIA task and not to any other type of federal or provincial tax. The application deadline is February 28. To apply, go to the City of Edmonton website. It's just a week left to apply for the Municipal Internship Program for new or recent post-secondary grads interested in a career in municipal government. The Municipal Internship Program offers opportunities for first-hand practical experience and training in municipal administration, finance and accounting, and land use planning. For more information, please go to the Government of Alberta website. Employers can now apply for their staff. Albertan frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic to receive a one-time payment in the recognition of their hard work and sacrifice. This critical worker benefit is a joint federal-provincial program that will see $465 million go to approximately 380,000 Alberta public and private sector workers in the form of 1,200 cash payments. For detailed information on eligibility and how to apply, please go to the Government of Alberta website. Businesses can now apply for Alberta provincial government support during this COVID-19 pandemic. The Small and Medium Enterprise Relaunch Grant offers financial assistance to Alberta businesses, cooperatives, and non-profit organizations that were ordered to close or curtail operations and that experienced a 30% revenue loss as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Learn more on the Alberta government website. In Toronto, former Calgary-based community builder Faith Greaves leads her organization Mosaic Women's Network Society and Mosaic Professional Business Center Incorporated forward. On February 20, 2021, from 3 p.m., they will do a soft launch via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube of their 10,000 square feet Mosaic Women's Network Society and Mosaic Professional Business Center launch. Hear more from Faith Greaves.
Opening our nonprofit organization as well as our for-profit organization, which is Mosaic Women's Network Society. So that's the nonprofit. And the for-profit is Mosaic Professional Business Center. And our grand opening is this Saturday.
So when you say women, is there specific? Are you focusing on the African, Canadian? Who are you catering to when it comes to specific women?
Mosaic Women's Network Society will work with the African, the Caribbean, and anyone that is considered a Canadian.
Dr. Leslyn Lewis generated some political shockwaves in the leadership race for the Conservative Party of Canada. In an election, she came third. Her enthusiasm attracted some new Black votes to the party. A couple of weeks ago, she joined with others to form a Black conservative organization, Conservative Black Congress of Canada. Fresh from the launch of the Conservative Black Congress of Canada organization in Canada, the chairman of the organization, an Edmonton politician, Tunde Obasan, tells us more.
About what we do and why we formed the organization is that, let me just say that, like I said, it's a not-for-profit organization. And because we understood that the political outreach to the Black communities in Canada is not well established yet. And we are trying to, we saw a gap, and we want to make sure we are able to bridge that gap by bringing Black conservatives across Canada all together, and for us to be able to even have the opportunity to communicate and educate the grassroots, within
Edmonton to host a very important diversity conference this summer on July 6 to 10 at 9 a.m., inviting big names like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. III. Organizer Patrick Arthur is here to tell us more.
Well, thank you so much, Harriet. I'm here representing Center for Intellectual Excellence here in Edmonton. I serve as the executive director for the firm. And what Center for Intellectual Excellence stands for is we try to do programs on equity, diversity, and inclusion education. And that is one of the reasons why we are having our very first World Diversity in Leadership Conference here in Edmonton at the Edmonton Convention Center. From July 6th to the 10th. I am excited because for the very first time, we have the king himself, Dr. Martin Luther King III, coming to Edmonton for the first time. So I'm excited. We have other great speakers also coming in. We have the Her Excellency, Dr. Jewel Taylor, the Vice President from Liberia, also coming in. We have Dr. Wendy Cookie, who is the Director of Diversity Institute here in Canada, also representing. Molly Thomas from CTV also moderating. We have Carol Ann Divani from Global News. And then we have Ben Doche-Malo, who is the United Nations Chief Editor for United Nations News, also moderating. So we are really excited, and we really want to make this event a memorable one for the people of Edmonton. So it's an exciting news, and it's happening July 6th to the 10th.
Well, that's exciting. Where can people get the tickets so that they can be part of this event?
Tickets, you can easily get tickets on our website, which is wodil.ca, wodil.ca, or better still, you can look at diversityconference.ca. There are various categories there, so you look at which one suits you, and you can easily register and be part of this event. So that's where they can get their tickets.
I'm going to get my tickets because it sounds like a very exciting event, lots of leadership, lots of conversations. So thank you so much for sharing this information, and we look forward to the event in July 6th to the 10th. Thank you for watching Diversity TV Community Newscast from Harriet Tinka. See you next week. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button so you're the first to receive the video when we upload it. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We also have a website, www.diversityplus.ca. We now begin our Valentine's Day special panel, Diversity TV in the Community. Someone said we should shut the borders so that no one goes back home to get married. Why do people go home to marry while these countless angels right here in their backyards? A Diversity TV Valentine's Day panel hosted by Diversity TV host Tabitha Biel. Here are our panelists: Clive Shirunga, life experience coach; Joy Giana, mental health and family psychotherapist; and Namata Okot, nurse.
I want to welcome all of you to Diversity TV. My name is Tabitha Biel, and the topic that we are going to be discussing today is why are our people, both men and women, our young people, going back home rather than finding someone here?
This, I think, is there's so many variables that that affect why people make that decision. But if you're looking at I would just want to look at one of the few that I think are more, I don't want to use the word rampant, but that affects us a lot, I guess, more on a psychological level. And one of them has to be, the familiar territory. When hunters go hunting, they usually just do it in places that they're familiar with. And so we have this, thing that is sort of a pride thing, not in a bad way, but that we identify with, being African. And so we tend to, even when we're here, right, we tend to try and look for people that we identify with. I mean, you go to a mall and, there's a lot of people there. You don't even acknowledge them, but you see one Black person, what do? You're like, you just recognize each other, even if you don't say words, but just right. That feeling of, I know this person and they identify with me in this place. So we tend to want to, even when we go for, parties, functions, we generally go and be among people that we identify with. And it's part of the culture and, how we were raised. And the other point that ties into that is also, our perception and worldview. I would say, which is again measured by, the environment that we grew up in. And, so that worldview was influenced and molded, by society, the society that we grew up with. And we're talking about the generation that, our generation, and, because I'm thinking, I got kids here born in Canada, and I don't see any of them thinking about, oh, I need to get married, I need to go back to Africa. You know what I mean? Because they don't identify with Africa. But we do identify with Africa because we grew up in that environment. And the idea of what a good woman is, what a good man is, who then becomes, a good husband, is also affected by those factors. That, that identity, what we grew up being told, even in our own environment in Africa, we just don't go to certain tribes or certain areas, to marry. We still select it within that. We still go into that, shaft, that channel, and we go and pick out because of, what the society around us told us is the right thing. If you want a wife, so if you want a husband, these are the right people. And so that has affected how we think about this. The other point I want to make is, I mean, there's a lot more to say on this particular point, but I just want to, just give you like a brief run through. The other thing is family influence. Okay, a lot of our decisions when it comes to marriage are influenced by our family, our parents, our mothers especially. Our mothers seem to have a lot more to say about this issue than most. Mm-hmm. I don't want that woman from that village, and I want you to be married by a man who has a degree. It's and so we grew up around these ideas. And so when we come here to Canada, the other question that sort of gets raised is, do we find people for love, or what are people? So I talk to a lot of people, and it's amazing that a lot of people are in marriages not because they were in love with the person, but they did it because it was quote unquote necessary, or they felt that at this age I need to marry, I should have a wife, I should have a husband. And or their parents were like, when are you going to get married? We're tired of you not getting married, and so they go through that pressure. And so the idea of people finding people here in Canada, and like there's a statement in the question that says, there are people in our backyard. Why do we leave the angels? And that's debatable about angels, but why do we leave angels here and then we go back home? And the reason is there's people to love here, that's true, but unless we deal with that mindset, which over time, the longer we stay here, it gets eroded eventually. Because I mean, our children, we might keep holding on to it and try and shove it down their throats that you need to go back to Africa and get a wife because we know where the wives are and where the husbands are. But eventually it's going to get eroded. But I think when you look at it right now, these are some of the, so I said, I think I mentioned 3 points there, just to recap. Familiar territory, right? So we feel better going back to places that we identify with. And the other point was, our perception worldview, which is determined usually or cultivated by the society that we grew up in, right? And so that's why you find, even when you came to Canada, if you're Kenyan or you're Ghanaian, you're Zimbabwean, I'm Zimbabwean, and I just gravitated toward Zimbabweans. I was looking for Zimbabweans. Who do I know? Who do I, And so then a lot of people that I know are Zimbabweans, Black Africans that I know here in Canada. And so that happens. And then the last point was the family influence, which for most people plays a very big part. What our parents, what our parents are. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, that would be some of, there's so many things that we could talk about, but I think I could just leave it right there and say, those are some of the things that I look at based on the experience that I've had with people, going through this, I don't know if I can say phenomena, but this type of experience.
Thanks, Clive, for those very good pointers. And I want to agree with most of them. I don't think there are very many different reasons. Most of the reasons rotate around almost the same, factors. But I would also want to say, because we are different, we really have, even though we come from, our beautiful continent, Africa, but Africa is huge, and we have really different cultural perspectives. We have different personalities. We have, different worldviews and mindsets, and all those factors come into play. So when Diversity TV approached me and asked me about the reasons why, really asked me to be a part of this conversation, I actually did some research, and there is not a lot of research papers or even journals that really speak about these things, which even emphasizes, the need. It emphasizes more why we need to have conversations such as this, or even write about it. I did, though, go ahead and ask if I'm married, but I did not. I came to Canada and when I was already married, so I did not have that personal experience. But I know a lot of people in my community that have, gone through that same experience. So I took a minute and tried to, randomly ask them, why they felt the need to, to go back. And really, everybody had slightly different reasons, but there was, again, very many similarities. And one of those were some of what Clive has just shared with us. The brain likes to deal or entertain things that they are already familiar with. So that's why when we're trying a new thing, like when we're trying to work on a new project or try a new habit, it feels extremely hard, because really it's a strange idea to the brain. Whereas if you're involving in something that you have always done, like for example, Tabitha, if you are the host of Diversity TV, when you come on set, it's as easy as maybe eating food, right? Yet if it was another person who has been given that project to run, it could feel, and they've never done it before, it could feel extremely hard. So likewise, I think when it comes to finding somebody who we want to spend the rest of our lives, we really like to, our brain kind of sends those messages, and we find ourselves really wanting to go back to the place that is familiar to us. There is the fear of the unknown. There's an old saying that goes that the devil is better than the angel that you do not know. So most people that move to the Western world, and but move when they're a little bit older. For example, they've spent maybe the first 15, 20 years or even 30 years of their lives in a different place. Sometimes it may feel like they are not aware or they don't know the culture here. They have a limited understanding of how people run their lives in this part of the world. So that's why when they're thinking of getting into something as intimate and maybe long-term situations such as marriage, they probably find themselves going back home.
Perfect.
I think another reason is also the precedence, what we've seen other people do, right? So because maybe I have an older brother or an older sister who has gotten into who has done this before, I may find myself stepping in their own in the same shoes.
The problem is our people, and this is really going on a lot in my community. I'm from Sierra Leone, and I'm married to a South Sudanese. So,
I'm Sudanese.
I can tell my
Yes, yeah.
yes.
Go on, girl.
Yeah, so there's a lot of pressure, just like as Clive mentioned earlier, pressure from our family members, even back home, to marry somebody from our, tribe or from our country. So it's hard, but a lot of people leave here going home to find a partner because they think they will get something better than what is already available here.
Exactly.
Because one, they know some of the women, what they've done before. Some have broken marriages before, and they know, and they don't want to be a part of that. And, and I think this is also a systemic thing because, in Canada, the upbringing is different than what we're used to in Africa. So in Africa, it's mostly the men who are like the breadwinners of the family, even though that is changing now in Africa.
Yeah.
But and being here, it's it's both men and women both work and provide for the family. So because again I went around asking a few members of our community, before joining in, what is some of the issues, especially with the men. And the thing they say is that in Canada, they find that they are not needed, like in as in Africa, where over there the man is everything in the house. Like you listen to your husband, you follow everything they say. Here it's more like a want. And because some of the women, when they are working and they are making their own money, and they're more independent here than in Africa, where you are kind of dependent on the husband. So those are some of the things that make relationships hard here. There are people who come here with their partner and they end up breaking up because of that. So you can go to Africa and bring a partner, but then you're coming back into this system and things can change. So I think what we can do as a community is that we need to get back to our roots, which is Africa, who we were raised. When we have problems in our relationship, usually we go to the elders and they come and they try to talk it out and see what is the issue here. I find here sometimes, women partners don't do that. They just make up their mind and they separate and things like that. So we need to go back to our roots where we try to incorporate our culture. We try to see how we can blend it in with this culture here. I think that will help us a whole lot. And also, it really doesn't matter. You going home and you getting a partner here, the same thing can happen. So I think for us to find a way how to, find a partner here is that we have to be open. and you know, be willing to, yes, it's sometimes you get heartbreak or something, but you have to be willing to fall in love with people. Yeah, don't just listen. You know, there are relationships that break up because of different reasons. So you cannot just say, oh, the women all here are like this. You cannot generalize the situation. Everybody is different. And two people cannot work together, but maybe you will be the partner for that person. So I think we just have to get back to our roots, be patient, and be open and willing to date people from here.
Perfect, perfect, perfectly said. Thank you so much. Um, all of this we just talked about, we can go deeper, but really these are the issues that we're facing. Is here in our mentality, the way that it has been kind of imprinted a long, long time ago. And when you look at all of us, all of our communities are suffering from the same thing. So there's a tendency to think that somebody who is better, whether that you are a man or a woman, someone better is somewhere, and that somewhere is Africa. And you just need to go back to that person and, you know, get it. Like you said already, we need to go back to our root. And maybe we're not going to go back in order, but for two of you, do you guys think so we have to go back to our root to kind of, you know, go through this and bring ourselves back and realize that we have our own people here to date, to get to know, to not generalize, like you said, not to generalize, but, you know, get to see people. Do you guys see it the same way? Joyce?
Um, so I don't want us to come from a place of, assuming that, the people that have gone back home and found their loved ones and started a life together, that they are having challenges, or that it's a bad thing, right? Because every relationship is different, and they could be having different experiences. I know people that have gone back home, they brought their spouses here, and their relationship is thriving and is a healthy relationship. I know people that have found partners here, but then their relationships could be thriving or could be toxic and hostile. So I think maybe we could point out a few challenges that come with having to go back home and bring a spouse, but we can't assume that every or most of the people that have gone back home and brought their spouses and partners, that their relationships are not thriving, right? So I think there's certain things we can control and those that we cannot control. When somebody chooses to go back home, they have all the right to go back home. When they choose to, find partners here, that is okay too. However, knowing that, understanding some of the challenges that come from, or that stem from having to go back home is something that we could discuss, so that whoever now thinks about going back home, they can do their homework, they can, be a little bit more careful and cautious before they take these decisions.
And is it the same thing for you?
So good question. So like I said, every relationship is different, but I think what I find is that, like Mata, yeah, she made a very good point. She said that you're gonna go back home, but then also you're bringing that person into the same environment where you've been living. Now remember, each one of us that has moved here to the Western world, we went through a culture shock, right? So that is going to be true for your partner and spouse that you're going to bring from back home. Now, marriage and relationships are come with their own challenges. They are beautiful, but they come with their own challenges. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. Two things are happening at the same time. There is the culture shock that this person will have to go through while they are integrating themselves into the new culture, but there's also the learning curve that comes with now, learning about their spouse, the commitment to know and really build that relationship. So it can be doubly hard for that person, even though when they were going into that, when they were venturing into that whole process, they thought maybe it would be easier, but the reality is that it's not as easy as probably they could have thought. So that's one of the reasons.
Absolutely, perfectly said. And to our brother, do you see it the same way? Just before we can put it behind us.
I think we should take everybody's passport and just block the borders and then keep everybody here.
That was my solution, but yeah.
Yeah, just make sure that nobody goes anywhere. All right. Yeah, right. So, Sister Nemata, is it? Nemata, oh my goodness. Where are you from?
I'm from Sierra Leone.
Oh, it says Sierra Leone, okay. All right. That's a point that you raised about, that, the expectations when people go back to Africa and then they're bringing somebody. And the reason why, like we were talking about, that people do that is because they're saying, well, giving an example, I can't remember who gave the example. Is it Joy? When the example was that, men sometimes, they go back and they're thinking that, I want a woman who will do A, B, C, D. And which is some of the reasons and why people do that. The problem though, as you pointed out, is that you bring that person here. Yes, you found them in that environment in Africa, being who they were, and you were able to coexist in Africa because, as a man who wants to provide, and as a man who wants to be in control, it worked. But then you bring them to this environment where it usually requires both of you almost doing the same thing. And then you still end up being with the same challenges that you were trying to run away from here, and going back. So I know that's the reason that people do that. But I think there has to be, and this forum is a good thing that we have this forum for education and just letting people know that it doesn't matter where you are. I talk to people about raising kids and, they say, oh, in Canada, it's so tough to raise kids. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You could be at the North Pole. If you're principled, you're principled. If you know what your values are, you know what your values are. It doesn't matter where you are. The only problem is that people don't want to adapt. So they try and find the easy way around situations. And so it doesn't matter you bring a wife here and a husband from there. They'll come here and they'll be like, well, this is the life that we have here. And so as a man, you also I just been to work. I just came back. I'm tired. You worked after shift. So you got to do dishes. And the man's like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not what I married you for. You're supposed to do dishes. But she could do it back home because the man was the sole provider. So,
exactly.
So I think what we need to work at is training people to adapt and realize that the one thing that has to work is not the environment, but it is the person. You as an individual, you have to know what your values are, what your principles are. And in that regard, it won't really matter. I mean, there's some things, yes, that might matter, but in the overall picture of things, it won't matter where you find a spouse, whether in the deepest part of the ocean or wherever, whether she's a mermaid. If you don't sort out your own thinking and be able to adapt, because even Africa, Africa used to be like 10 years behind, things that happen in North America, wherever in Africa, we were just coming up. But now it's like, it's almost the same thing. So,
exactly.
It's no different, but it's just that people have to work on their mindset and change. And, there's people here who can help. We have more of these discussions and work on how people think, because the mindset is the problem. It don't matter who you're with. You could be the most beautiful person, but if you made a dump truck, then you're gonna have a problem. So
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we need to work at doing that. So that would be my assessment on what would be the best solution. The more we talk about these things, the more we raise awareness and education. Then it won't matter where they find, like Joy said, people can find whatever they want, but I think it'll make it easy for them, because then their expectations don't get shattered. Because some relationships are just dying because you thought you could find a wife back home who would help here, and then they come here, they're like, hey, it's not working. And so it doesn't matter where you are. So that's my take on that.
Thank you so much, guys. This is really a very important topic to talk about, because there's so much we can talk about in this area. And I heard that we do not have a lot of time left. I think the info that you guys provided will go a long way, and perhaps make somebody think about all of this at once, instead of just running around and kind of focus on your mindset and think that that's how you're going to solve things. So when it comes to us, we have to educate ourselves, basically. And this is, I think, is just going to be one of the tools that we can use to make awareness about the things that we make, or the mistakes that we make on a daily basis. I want to say thank you to all of you for joining Diversity TV today.